My name is Bob Dickson. I'm a family practitioner, still working in Northwest Calgary. I've been a family doctor for over 30 years now. As a family practitioner, I feel strongly that, that my clinic and that my medical expertise and my assisting people in humanity in the world does not stop at my clinic door or at my office. It extends to the greater world. And water fluoridation is something that affects the vast majority of the populations around the world, and mostly negatively. So it's something that I feel very strongly that we've made a mistake as a medical profession, and it's up to people like me and people that know the actual truths and facts about water fluoridation to do something about it. Unfortunately, it's the poor and the elderly and the immune compromised, those with chronic diseases, that have most of the problems with the side effects of fluoridation. Has always struck me is that we don't swallow our toothpaste, we don't swallow our mouthwash, and people that do Botox, they don't swallow that. It's all topical. Fluoride is in the same category there. Fluoride does have some effect topically, and that's the way it should be used. There's no way that we should be mass medicating without informed consent. As a doctor, I have to talk to you about the medication I'm giving you. I have to inform you of any possible good effects, bad effects, side effects, and I have to monitor you as you go along. With water fluoridation, with mass medication, none of those things happen. There's no informed consent, as in most people don't know that they're being medicated with fluoride. They don't even know that fluoride's in the water, or not in the water in some cases. But also, there's no control of the dose or dosage that we're going to give people as well. So about 99% of what we put into the city waters, or the public waters, goes into watering lawns, washing our cars, flushing our toilets, bathing, whatever, and only about 1% is consumed. So it's a very inefficient way to deliver any kind of treatment or medication. In the southern states, in the fertilizer industry stacks, they're not allowed by strict law to put hydrofluorosilicic acid into the waters, rivers, lakes, streams, oceans, into the air, into the ground. It's not allowed in those fertilizer industries to go out into the environment. Why should it be allowed to come through our bodies or through our lawn watering systems or car washes or whatever, and go back into the rivers and the environment unchecked? Fluoride, which is put in to actually help the teeth, can actually destroy teeth as well. If you look at the data out of the States, the huge NHANES studies, population studies out of the United States, they're showing a marked amount of fluorosis now. More than half the kids have fluorosis of some degree, and a lot more of the moderate to severe variety, which causes severe problems that require sometimes tens of thousands of dollars to repair. There's so many other ways to get fluoride. If you do believe in fluoride, if you believe it is effective, which the information out there is very questionable and marginal, but if you do believe in it, you can get fluoride from your dentist, from your doctor, from the pharmacy, and gels and rinses and foams and pills and toothpaste, of course. So there's a lot of ways to get fluoridation if you're actually a believer in it. But if you want to take fluoride out once it's put in the water, it's very difficult to do so. You need a reverse osmosis system, which essentially would cost anywhere from $3,000 or $4,000 to even $10,000 or $15,000 to get a whole house reverse osmosis system in, and then you have to change the filters every 6 months or a year as well. So it's a very expensive process, which not many people can afford to do. So water fluoridation really doesn't help the big picture at all. There's some studies that show maybe a small increase in cavities, decrease in cavities or caries with water fluoridation. There's other studies that show no change in cavities or caries with water fluoridation or without. So water fluoridation, really, we're spending a considerable amount of time, energy, and money to do it, and it's really not helpful. So full disclosure, I actually accepted a SAMRIDGE in Lethbridge about 6 years ago when we presented in front of City Council. Other than that, I do this entirely on my own dollar. It's pro bono. I feel very passionate about this because we are causing harm to a great percentage of our population, and I just don't think that's right. We've been wrong as a medical profession about many things over the last few decades in particular, and for the most part we've eventually, after a few years or a decade or two, admitted to that, and have come around and changed our minds. This particular one we've hung on tenaciously, and there's a number of reasons behind that, I think, but the main one is that we just don't want to be wrong again. So I feel very strongly that we have to turn this around, that we're causing harm. We're, as a doctor, the Hippocratic Oath is very important to me, do no harm. And of course the precautionary principle, if you don't know, don't do it. And certainly in this case, we don't know, or we aren't admitting a lot of the harms, even though in the last decade or two, there's been a whole lot of studies, hundreds of studies literally, on neurotoxicity alone and damage to the brain. And now there's thousands of studies out there that are anti-fluoride. It's just that most of the pro-fluoridationists delete them all, and then they look around and say, there are no anti-fluoridation studies. Well, there's thousands.